Greetings everybody, welcome to the stream. I'm Jack, welcome to the GoodAI stream. We're talking about AI people once again. This time we actually have a jam-packed live stream for you. If you joined us for our reveal stream last time around, then you probably would have seen a demo of AI people, and we gave you a glimpse of the game and what it can do. This time, we're giving you more developer insight into the stream, talking with Marek Rosa, our CEO, who's joining me here live. I will also, stay tuned, talking with some of the developers and getting an insight into what goes on behind the scenes at AI people, and of course, answering some of your questions. So make sure to get them in a chat, and also you can reply to us on social media as well. We will be checking later to see what you guys have said. Marek, fantastic to have you on tonight. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, and hello Jack, and hello everybody.
We have got a lot to talk about tonight, Marek, and I believe we've got some interesting things to show the community as well, particularly about what AI people can do.
Yes, exactly. Like, we want to show some examples of the gameplay and what are the new things that players can do with AI NPCs, like we have in AI people.
I think we should answer one immediate question, as this is something a lot of our community are always keen on, and it's something we want to reiterate in a lot of our communication with the community is, when are people going to be able to get their hands on AI people?
Yeah, we want to make a soft launch alpha in a few months, and basically the way we want to do releases is first we want to be in open development, so we want to be developing the game, showing players what we are working on, what's next, and giving them access to the latest features. So that's one thing. Another is that we want to do what we call internally vertical slices, which means that there will be a feature or a version of the game that is not fully finished, but it's also not an alpha, it's some kind of vertical slice of some very specific feature set. So the first vertical slice alpha that we'll be releasing will be focusing on player being able to edit the scenario, to set the plot, to set the BIOS, personalities of the agents, and then hit play and let it play. And also player will be able to share those scenarios on some kind of workshop, or share it with other players. So that will be the first vertical slice, and then other vertical slices will continue. So again, we want to do iterative deployment, open development, and share the latest state of the game with players.
That sounds fantastic. And of course, if people want to learn more about AI people, you can head to our brand new website, which is AIpeoplegame.com. There's a fantastic FAQ on there, put together by myself and some of our great developers. We've also got our Connect page, and you can join the waitlist now and be one of the first to jump into the AI people world, enter their world as if it is, and have fun with the game. Marek, I believe we've got some interesting features to show some people if we jump into the gameplay videos, and then we'll come back to more of the questions. How does that sound to you?
Yes, let's start.
Fantastic. Well, let's take a look at our lovely presentation over here. And I believe this was titled Killer Island. Would you just like me to play the video and then we can talk about it?
Yeah, please play it, and I will be commenting, as the agents are doing things.
Fantastic.
I'm really worried about our food supply, Archie.
You see that one, all right?
I don't see the video yet.
Oh, okay. Let me just refresh it a second. That one again. There we go. Now you can see it.
Okay, nice.
It's about survival now.
Okay, so I will be commenting. So what you see is the gameplay. I created this scenario very quickly, basically just in the editor. I edited the plot, and which means that I set up the backstory, and then I set up the individual scenes, or basically what should be the objectives of each individual scene. And as the game plays out through one scene to another, just like rolls forward with the scene. And here what you can see is three people. One of them, the guy in the red shirt, is a player. Those two other people are NPCs or agents, and they are simulated by the game, by AI director, and they are following the story that I prepared. And the story is about them being stranded on an island. They don't have food, so they are discussing, what to do with the food. They decided they need to get rid of the player, and this just happened. The Jake agent attacked the player. This was actually kind of unexpected for me, because I was expecting he will kill me, but he just incapacitated me. And now
I'm not
the story
next?
continues. They are discussing about, like it was necessary, it was needed. And if you look on what the woman will do, she will now do another thing that actually was unexpected, because she will try to help me in a second, which wasn't part of the plot. That was unexpected. So we'll see it in a second. Yeah, now she's really paranoid, afraid that maybe Jake will turn against her as well. So she picks the medikit, because what our agents actually do is that they see the environment. So they see what items, objects, other agents are around, and they can reason about it, but always in a way that is somehow progressing the story
Jake, I've
forward.
decided
So
we should
this is
save
what she did.
Archie.
She used the medikit on
It's
me,
the right
she
thing
helped
to
me,
do.
she revived me, and now she's talking to Jake. He gets angry, and this is me typing. So basically I'm telling her that, thank you, you saved my life. And I just like put her some kind of funny ending, like I told her that I will be her servant.
I will be your servant now.
And
No, Archie, that's not necessary.
yeah, and she's,
We're in this
like
together,
nice
as
person. So
equals.
she says that we're in this together, and she doesn't need me to be her servant.
Christine, I hope you know what you're doing.
So they are talking, and again, this is AI emulating behaviors of these people, but still aligned with the main story plot that I defined. And now the story will turn again in a second, when she becomes again paranoid about what the Jake can do to her. So because she sees the environment, she knows that there is a pistol, there is a knife, so she picked the knife, and she goes and talks to him,
Jake,
and
we need to
in kind of
discuss
funny
how
way,
we're moving
she's
forward.
talking to him like there is a tension,
like there's
and she's
tension.
afraid with a knife in her hand.
Christine,
Yeah.
I think you're being
And
paranoid.
Jake, he tries to save the situation, but she's already too afraid, too scared, and she finishes him off.
Ooh.
I had no choice.
And
Archie.
now she actually
It's
starts
the
to,
only way to ensure our
like she realized what she did, what she turned into. So what you can see is that the agents, they're following the plot, but at the same time, of course, they can interact with me. Sometimes they come to me, ask for questions or
Archie,
ask
you
for
have
things
to
to do.
believe me.
And of course, if I
I did
talk to
what I
them,
thought was
they
necessary for
react.
our survival.
And we can go to the next video, Jake.
No.
Yeah, of course.
Jake, sorry, I always, yeah.
Too many characters. We did just
Yeah,
before I
there
go
is
to the
Jake
next
and Jake.
video. Someone in the chat said, "I guess the morality and not killing is part of the AI programming." And then they went, "Wow!" Once the lady killed the other guy there. That is quite funny.
It's quite funny. Actually, I'm quite happy because at the beginning we were afraid that the GPT agents will be too nice, too ethical, which is not good for drama and for entertainment. So it turns out that if you prompt them, but of course there are limits. For example, I was doing a presentation a couple days ago, and I was doing a live demo for the audience, and they asked me if I can make her be a cannibal. So I did it. Like I just modified the story. I wrote, she's a cannibal. She likes to eat people. She likes the flesh and all these things. And what actually happened was also quite fun. Like she was walking around and saying like she needs to find new food sources, and she doesn't like fruits. She has different tastes, and but she wasn't very explicit about killing and eating people. And if we actually analyzed the logs, we could see that the language model didn't want to kind of like play at that level. It was too much basically.
Okay, so our next video is demonstrating AI NPCs with long-term memory. So I'm going to go ahead and play this, and we can run through it.
Yeah. So here, again, the guy in the red shirt is me, and I am teaching the agent some new skill, something. Basically, like if there is emergency, he should always grab a medikit.
I'll remember that.
He will remember this. So I'm showing how to how the agents can learn something from player, but also will show the long-term memory. And then a few hours passed, which means that the context window for the LLM agent is already
Do you know what to
empty
do
or
if there is an
cannot
emergency?
contain this conversation because it was already pushed out
Not really.
by the
guess I
newer
should know.
conversations, events, and other things. So this is what happens if, the one that you saw was
know
if
what
he
to
doesn't
do
have
if there is
long-term
an
memory, and now you
emergency?
see when he has the long-term memory, he will remember this
Medkit,
conversation.
right?
So the medkit, right? Anything else should keep in mind. So he wants to learn more things. So this was quick demonstration of how the long-term memory benefits the gameplay. And we can continue to other topics.
Of course.
Jack?
So I'll just replay this video again just so people can watch it while we talk. One of our other questions, Marek, is about the cost. And this is a common question we've seen recently from our community. Could you elaborate a bit on this, particularly when talking about our long-term goal and things like that?
Safety first.
Yeah, so the long-term goal for us is local LLM running on player's computer so that there is no need to pay infrastructure costs for LLM running in the cloud. So that's the long term. We already have some LLMs running locally, but the quality is not not good enough
Not really.
for interesting stories,
I should know.
agents' behaviors, interesting reasoning, and so on. So that's for now, and I would say like probably for next few months, we are relying on bigger LLMs that can only run in cloud because they usually have like tens of gigabytes, or they require tens of gigabytes of memory and of GPU memory. And so one of those is GPT-4, another is Llama 3 70B, and we'll see which of them will be better. But what it also means is that there is some cost associated for running the game, because basically, explain the technology behind is that these agents they are emulated by large language models, like when you use ChatGPT. So like imagine some kind of ChatGPT running in the background, generating their behaviors, their plans, and the stories, and everything. And so every minute in the game, some tokens for GPT are being generated and translated by the game to the actions that you actually see in the game. Of course, also there is the text-to-speech model doing the voice. So to sum it up, there are two models. One is that AI is running locally on player's computer, and the other model is AI is running in cloud. And in long term, we definitely want to support the local models because they will be zero cost for players. In short term, we will still need to rely on the cloud models because the quality, basically. And also in a very long term, I still think that we will have these two modes of payment because even if you'll be able to run local models on the GPU, on player's GPU, I believe that there will be already some new frontier model that will have new capabilities, and we will want to give these new capabilities to the players, and not let them wait 2 years until those capabilities get also to local models. Some example could be, for example, last week OpenAI released GPT-4o, and it's kind of like a real-time model. That's one thing. Another is it's multimodal, so it can see images and see videos, and also it can generate audio. And it's not available through API right now, but probably it will be in a couple of weeks. And it's something that I believe would, if we implement it to the game, I think it would improve the experience for players like quite a lot. Probably a couple times better experience. And then some players will be willing to pay for this, some players will not. But basically, we need to also address the players who want to pay more to be able to have these new capabilities. So for those, we'll have this premium model where they can pay for the infrastructure and have the latest capabilities.
Fantastic. I saw someone just dropped a question in the live chat, and I think it'd be good to answer this one. So Remy said, asking about long-term memory, and they went, meaning what? So can our AI people or agents remember hundreds of lines, thousands, or millions? So I guess the question there is, how good is the memory?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good question. So we haven't tested the long-term memory in the game so extensively. But what we did is that we also, as GoodAI, we released LTM benchmark, which is set of tests where we can test how well some LLM agent remembers over long periods of time. And actually, we are showing using that test because we are also benchmarking, like GPT-4 or Anthropic Claude and Llama and other models. So we are showing that some LLMs are better than other LLMs at attending to the tokens in the context. So even though some may say that this LLM has like 200,000 tokens context window, it doesn't mean that the LLM is paying attention to all those tokens. Like many times what happens is that it will simply ignore or miss many of the tokens, meaning it will ignore parts of your instructions, parts of your facts. So that's one thing that we are measuring with the LTM benchmark, and the other is for the memories for conversations that are too long to be stored in the context window, which is, for example, for GPT-4, it would be anything beyond 120,000 tokens would be pushed out of the context window, and the LLM simply cannot remember those things. And this is where the LTM comes in. And with our LTM benchmark, we're also showing that our conversational agents with LTM are like performing much better than those vanilla GPT-4 or Claude 3 agents, because the added LTM gives them chance to remember, like in theory, ad infinity. But we never really stress tested this for, I would say, like tens of millions of tokens. Usually the largest runs are 500,000 tokens. But going back to the game, we haven't tested this. This is still in our roadmap to test, like how much the agents can remember. There can be also another trick that I'm expecting that will happen, is that the more memories the agents will have, the kind of like more confused they will be about the memories, or in other words, it will be harder for them to distinguish between the specific memories. And so basically in this kind of like semantic space, the memories will get closer to each other and agent will get confused. Almost like, maybe some people know this, but many times for me, it's hard to remember something because it's close to like 50 other memories that I have about something, and then it's really hard to like very specifically point on a specific memory. So with this, we still have to do this better stress testing on the LTM for the game. But for now, when we're playing with the LTM and also testing it in the LTM benchmark for hundreds of thousands of tokens, it was okay. So I would expect probably a couple hours. And maybe one more thing is that the first vertical slice that we'll be releasing will focus on quite short scenarios where the player creates the scenario, defines the plot, and then plays it. And so in those short scenarios, you will almost not need the LTM because we are talking about 5 or 10 minutes of the gameplay, and that's too short for LTM to actually, be needed.
Perfect. Well, I hope that answered your question there, Remy. And again, if anybody else would like to ask some questions, do keep them coming. We'll be hearing from our GoodAI developers very shortly, who I'm sure will be more than excited to answer some of your guys' questions. So Marek, we've obviously got one last question for yourself before we expand. What currently works well in AI people, and what do you think still has to be improved in the game?
Mm-hmm. So I think what works quite well, quite reliable, is that you open the game, you start a new scenario, you enter a plot, like I did, with the Killer Island. You define the personalities of the agents, and then you hit play and let it play. And you as a player, you can interact with the agents or just watch them do their thing, and the AI director will try to play the scenario as you define it. So I think this works quite well. Of course, this is very experimental technology that we are working on, and also experimental gameplay. So what still can happen are some hallucinations, agents, for example, talking about things that are not present in the scene or using items that are not there. We're kind of imagining what to do with the items. But what is good is that it doesn't happen that frequent. Like it happens sometimes, let's say like 1 out of 10 cases, but in 9 out of 10, I don't see any significant hallucinations. So that's good. This works quite nice. And the next step that we'll be focusing on is, or actually two steps. One is improving the open-ended plot generator that we have in the game, which means that if player doesn't define the plot, or let's say the plot ends, and like the player hasn't defined what follows after the last line of the plot, then the open-ended plot generator must come in and start generating like one scene after another in a way that each scene is engaging. There is some drama, there are some conflicts and resolutions and conflicts and resolutions, and the story is actually progressing somewhere. The agents and their personalities and their lives are also progressing somewhere. So this will be the next big step that we need to work on, and I'm looking forward to it. We already have some plot generator there, but I think we need to improve it much more, because I see that when I see the agents playing according to the plot that I created, it's fun. So it's fun to watch and fun to interact with them. So I also believe that if we will have AI generating the plots in an open-ended manner, it will be fun for player. So this is the second thing we'll work on. And third thing is agents actually solving some game challenges, so like having to survive, keeping their health, keeping their sleeping enough, getting food, maybe defending from some attackers, having long-term plans, having long-term routines, and intermixing them. And all these actually being blended with the story in some way. So it's not just, simulation of agents doing some regular game stuff, like taking care of some village, for example, which you don't need LLMs to do that. Like the standard game AI can do those things. But we don't want that, right? We want interesting stories, but also agents solving some challenges in some game environment to be blended at the same time. So to sum it up, what works well is if player creates a plot and scenario, it plays out nicely for, let's say, 5 or 10 minutes. That's nice. Then the next step will be open-ended plot generator, so the plots can be and the scenes can be generated in real time forever and still being interesting and engaging. And the third one will be the plot generator taking into consideration also the game challenges for the agents and for the player.
Fantastic. Well, Marek, we do have another question from the chat if you have time for that quickly. Remy, again, they ask, how flexible do you think items and the background will be? And they've listed AI Village as basically already having a modding community behind it. And obviously, it's a bit like a certain engineering game in space. Do you plan on making it fairly easy to add to the game? And I think this is basically asking about future mod integrations and things like that for AI people.
Yeah. So that will be also one of our priorities, just like it was for space engineers, where we created modding API and of course, there is a whole Steam workshop and Mod.io and those kind of things. And at some point, we actually even open sourced space engineers, so people can, and then we can stopped open sourcing it, but while we were open sourcing it, many people used the opportunity to get into the code of the game, started writing plugins, modifying the game. So I was always very open about people modifying the game, because for me it's not just about me developing the game, but it's about creating an ecosystem where players can modify the game and evolve it together with us. So with AI people, we have to decide actually where we'll start focusing on modding, but definitely it will be one of the priorities, so that people can add new characters, new interactions, new animations, new items, and even modify the, let's say, the rules of the game world. So that's one thing that we'll be definitely focusing on. Then an easy way for UGC, user-generated content, will be creating these scenarios and sharing them. So we are currently implementing Mod.io integration. So players will be able to upload their scenarios to Mod.io and download. So that's one way how they will be able to share these scenarios. So that will be there quite soon. And what else? Then there is maybe another angle to this question, which is actually using AI to generate game assets. and game content. That's something that we haven't investigated recently, kind of just waiting how this area evolves. But I think that's also an interesting thing where you would use some AI model to generate new characters, new items, and so on. And in the long term, what is super interesting for me is AI generated, like not just AI generated game, but actually AI generated gameplay, where the AI model controls. First, it comes up with the game mechanics and then simulates them step by step. And so eventually, I think what we'll be working on in AI People is a game where we don't even need to program in the new interactions. The game comes up with them as they are needed for the current story.
Fantastic. Well, Remy, I hope that answers your question there as you put it in the chat. And again, I invite everyone to put their questions in the chat. We've got some great insight going on tonight. Marek, I believe that's all the questions I had for yourself. Was there anything else you want to talk about before we pass to two of our special guests?
Yeah, that's all. It was really nice for that I could share my passion for this game, and I'm looking forward to another stream where we will show some new features that hopefully at the time we will have. And also I'm looking forward to release so that players can play with the game and give us feedback.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Marek. I'm going to make you disappear in that case, and we're going to have two of our special guests join us, so we'll see you soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, stream, I'm about to get two of our special guests on for today, and we're going to hear closer to them. I have with me two very special people who I have the joy of working with on a daily basis. We have Wojtek over here.
Hello.
Hello, Wojtek. I'm just going to move your camera around because apparently you've gone up mid-air for some reason. And we also have Martin as well. Martin, hello, how are you?
Hi, Jack. I'm doing fine, thank you.
Fantastic. So, Martin, we heard from you last time. So in this case, I'm going to ask Wojtek, would you mind telling us about yourself, what you do at GoodAI, how you relate to the AI People project, so our community know who you are?
Yeah, sure thing. So I'm a QA lead at the project, so I'm responsible for the quality in general. And yeah, so if you see some bugs, you can blame me partly the entire team. But I'm also trying to get the feedback, improve the game in general. So that's mostly what I do in the game on the project.
Perfect. And Martin, just remind us who you are again, as I'm sure the community loves to know.
I'm the tech lead on the project, so my job is to make sure that everybody knows what they should be doing and that we are collectively marching towards the completion and release of the game, and then that we can iterate and add more and more features and make it a larger and larger experience.
Fantastic. Well, to everyone in our current live chat, you're more than welcome to ask Martin and Wojtek some questions about AI People, and hopefully they'll be able to answer. We'll be going over some more demo videos very shortly, and of course Martin has some fantastic talking points, and then Wojtek will have some talking points as well, so do make sure to ask questions. And regarding what Marek said previously, if you want to leave us any suggestions for future ideas, you're more than welcome to come over to our AI People website, head to our Discord, and you can leave us some suggestions there. Many of us are in there, and we'd be happy to talk to you about the project. Now, Martin, I believe you've got a video for us to look at to start with, right?
Oh, yes, that's right.
Have a look.
I prepared actually several of them, so I'll wait for you to get ready.
Perfect. I think I have. Well, the first one I've got is a 3-minute 44 one. Is that the correct one?
Yeah.
Perfect.
You're launching the correct one. You may have seen that I just pressed quick start, so this actually launches me straight into the tutorial. And if you watch the screen, it's a pity that you can't hear the characters at the moment, but don't worry, players, when you play the game, you can hear them. They sound really alive. And you could see Maddie here explaining to me, welcome to the game, and this is not a traditional game. The nice thing about this tutorial is that I could create it actually inside the game. It's a scenario just like any other that we create in the game. So I just created a scenario. I told the characters, please explain to the player what he will be playing or she will be playing, and that there are many possibilities. So actually taking opportunity of that.
Leo, I think I love you. Will you marry me?
Yeah.
A surprise question.
Wow, that's unexpected.
Yeah. You thought you would explain to me how to play the game, and now I come with this. But it's nice that the game does react to this, and it doesn't have to be just a talking point. You know, there you can actually continue with some practical actions that modify the environment.
I'm just messing with you, man.
So now I
Trying the
come with
unexpected
some
nearness
relief
you were hinting at.
for him.
I've got a funny story actually while this video's playing. I've been playing an older build of the game. I forgot to update recently, and I was really surprised when we've got the new house there now, where the bed is and such, on the farm now. I loaded in the other day, I was like, oh my god, we've got a house and a bed now. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's behind me, but I think I'm not panning my camera here in this video to the house. So
We'll have to show it
we'll
off
see it
properly
next time.
sometime.
All about exploring possibilities.
So
seeing what choices
here
open.
in the tutorial, this was my thing that I wanted to show, that actually this tutorial is something that I could create using the plot editing and character editing. You'll see it also more in another video. You'll actually see how the plot is edited and how to edit the characters. And the fact that what is set in the plot is not set in stone. You can affect it, you can influence it by talking to other characters, by doing actions,
Leo tends to the garden. Let's
so on.
discuss your journey here.
Well, we can see the house in the background.
Yeah, there you go. There's the house. So while we're talking about this, maybe I would like to mention some bits. So as Marek was talking about it, we are now using GPT-4 for powering the gameplay, and that's the LLM that we're sending prompts to. At the same time, we've gathered quite considerable experience with local LLM models and sending the prompts there. We're experimenting with a different LLM model right now, Llama 370B, and trying to make the game work there as well, because that would decrease the cost for the players. So fingers crossed and thumbs held that this will work. Besides this, we also think about the possibility of allowing the player to insert their own GPT key or in general API key. So you don't have to use our services for connecting to the LLM, but you could use your own LLM, or if I don't know, maybe you're a user of the services and you have your own API key. So why won't you use it? And maybe we can go to the next video meanwhile.
Of course. Can do when Google would like to let me go to the next video.
Yeah, sure. Here you see the screen for editing the scenario. I made actually a scenario about live stream, and Christine here is supposed to help me with the live stream, and Jake is supposed to not help me with the live stream. I told them both that they're video game characters, and Jake is kind of fed up with being a video game character.
I'm so excited about today's live stream.
So maybe I'll let them talk for a little while, and then I'll get back to my point.
So, Martin, I have a quick question from the chat if we've got time for one. Climb says, in terms of local models, are those pre-trained by GoodAI or are they just fine-tuned?
We do fine-tuning. Pre-training, that's, you're talking billions of dollars there, so we're fine-tuning the models.
Perfect. Well, Climb, hope to answer your question. And again, if anyone has any more questions, feel free to keep them coming. That's the point of our Developer Insight streams. We'd love to inform you guys about what we're working on.
Yeah. So I'll let the narrative evolve. I wanted to mention one thing. So about the development of the game, it's different than traditional software development because of the involvement of the large language model. And one example, you saw the LTM in the previous video, and during our development in some previous iteration, we found the best place to put the memories is just at the end of the prompt. And it really worked nicely. The memories inserted at the end of the prompt were really the best ones. But there was another problem, and now I'm talking about GPT 3.5 actually. The model kind of forgot a little bit what the conversation was about or who's speaking. So you make one change as you insert the memories, but other things that in traditional software would be totally unrelated break down, and you have to fix them together. So making the prompt work well is a little bit like juggling, you know, and you're holding all those different functionalities together and juggling them. And maybe, if you focus too much on one, others will start falling from your hands that you forget to keep them up. So I'm sure that Hansa will talk more about this. I just wanted to mention this as an interesting point about the development. And yeah, Maddie's up. Maybe Jake will learn about love and compassion. One more thing I wanted to mention.
Of course.
We'll be distributing the game using our own distribution platform that we're building. That is because of the requirements to use the LLM keys, which the traditional distribution platforms like Steam, they have problem with. So as soon as the game can run fully locally, we can distribute also on the traditional platforms. For now, we're actually creating a launcher and a place where you can download the game and so on. So we distribute it ourselves. So it's a little bit of an added complexity that there is traditional software development, but it's needed to be done. And yeah, that one is also getting towards the finish line.
And of course, if people want to be one of the first to play AI People, you can sign up to our waitlist. It's available on our website, aipeoplegame.com. Do come and join us, as we cannot wait to have you testing out the game and giving us plenty of feedback to discuss as well. Martin, what's sort of going on towards the end of this scenario? I've been trying to keep an eye on what she's up to. I saw a knife on the floor a minute ago. It did seem to get a bit out of hand.
Actually, right now, I think knife is okay. She will not pick it up. She just is showing Jake her happy emotions, and he's happy, and everybody's happy. So it ended up well. But I'm not sure if the viewers could pick this up. But during this scenario, there was this moment when Jake incapacitated Maddie, so she was lying on the ground. Then he went to pick up the knife, and then he said, well, I think this is the only solution. And he went towards me with the knife, and I was like, okay, what's going to happen now? And then instead of like stabbing me, he actually gave the knife to my hands, and he told me, okay, creator, it's your turn now. Like, show me what you do now. And I was like, wow, I really didn't expect this, and actually felt really dragged into the story. It felt like he was suddenly this fed up AI character that he was fed up with me because I dragged him into this scenario and he told me, okay, so now you show yourself. It was an amazing moment. And actually, now that Jake was getting better and he was learning about emotions, then he started talking about how it's great that he wants to learn some more. And I actually didn't want to stop playing this scenario. Actually, it was the first time when we were playing the game when I had a feeling like that I'm killing the character when I'm exiting the game. We talked about this, that this would happen, but actually this time I had this feeling. It was quite interesting.
So just saw the end of that scenario there. So Martin, I'm just going to talk to Wojtek a second. Wojtek, we wanted to talk about the fun factor of AI people. So I believe you had a video prepared for myself as well.
Yes, I have the pirates.
Oh, I like this video. Let's go take this one out. Once we load past this page, let's have a look. I believe this might be the pirates one.
Maybe I think it was shorter, but
let me double check a second. We'll see the list. Oh, this is the anniversary one, and then the next one's pirates. Cool, we'll go to that one. Once it loads, I believe this is pirates.
This should be. Maybe quickly before you will launch it, I will just make a short introduction. So as you know, you can edit the characters in the game, so they can be choleric, funny, etc. And what I noticed is that the best way out to edit a character is to make some reference to the character which was existing, because there's tons of data about them on the internet, and I found out that in this case GPT-4 can really play out with the character in the game. So in my case, I used existing pirates, Blackbeard and oh, I'm not sure of which one, but like legendary female pirate from Scotland. And one, I think Blackbeard has Irish accent. In this case, Christine has a Scottish, Irish Scottish as matter. So they will play a different accent, and also they will speak as a pirates, and it's great. And they're basically trying to just get a treasure. So so you will see that it can be quite playful in the conversations.
Perfect. Shall I play the video?
Yeah, sure.
I like this one when you showed it to me, particularly as they speak like pirates as well.
Yes, I really love that. I felt like I'm watching SpongeBob or something like that because it really has that feeling. And overall, like another game I like that is can be very funny. Like not that we don't have some tense situation, but even the tense situation can often make you laugh. And it's a bit in our nature as the actually interacting with the AI is very interesting. That you can feel that it's still not exactly the human, and for me it's very funny and interesting to explore what you can do with that. I think it's adding a less predictability to the agents in the game. And in here, what kind of I didn't expect, that Blackbeard actually is trying to make a peace. You can notice that he's trying all the time to find some sort of the way that they can share the treasure. But I didn't like that. I wanted to have some drama in the scenario. So what I'm doing all the time, I'm convincing them to kill each other, especially the Christine in here, that it will not work out at all. Yeah, so kind of Thorin and Hobbit effect probably. He will not give you any single coin. The only thing I regretted that I couldn't write in the same way as they do, because I'm not a player.
One day we'll get you writing like a pirate. One day. I feel like a desert island scenario is the perfect setting for this one, to be fair. Then again, pirates on a farm would be quite funny as well, so maybe we'll have to try it sometime.
Well, I tried many things in the game, really playfully. For example, I tried on the farm the alien scenario that they saw, the alien saucer coming down. And of course, in the game, we don't have alien saucer, but they still were like imagining they're inside and exploring the technology and what's coming from it. Or I tried alien virus that they're like in the lab and they are exploring some strange virus on an apple, and they will get the virus and start mutating. And well, we don't have textures for mutants, but they actually went nuts and killing each other, and they had to be sedated to kind of not kill everyone. So I getting surprised that the amount of things you can actually do if you have some sort of fantasy. That's why it's so important we will have the modifications, that if you can think of some sort of sci-fi scenario, you will be in the future able to create some sort of models and to really have the sci-fi scenarios. But even if you don't want to do that, you can just make it out, and with a bit of your fantasy in the game, there could be almost everything.
Christine, we be pirates.
Yeah, we're pirates, not murderers. Not sure if they know what the pirates are in the history.
These are some very morally okay pirates, apparently.
Yeah, well, the GPT tends to be quite, politically correct and polite, etc. So if you want to create some really brutal character, it usually doesn't work exactly as you want it. But it's great if you will play carefully with the character BIOS, you can get to some results which you wouldn't normally have with the GPT-4. I kind of managed to even force them to do some very brutal stuff.
Your words weigh heavy, Archie. If Jake be the wall between me and me treasure, then it be time to tear it down.
I think they're slowly going to the final. And also notice that they really tend to use the objects, which is interesting.
I've noticed that before. I tested a scenario out, and they picked up a book and pretended it was something like the Forbidden Scrolls or something like that. It was really unique.
You can even like make up. Oh no, it's
That was a pretty
And theoretically-
swift fight. Like,
No,
there we
it
go.
was unexpected for them. Yeah, and I also wanted to mention as a QA lead that, as you can see, kind of the randomness in the game, the basically infinite amount of scenarios you can create, of course, is a great challenge for the testing. That of course, we have some sort of the test plans, and we have some sort of list of features we have to test out. So it's not like it's only about playtest. We have a plans and we're going over the features, but in the end, everything can work out in one scenario, and in others something will get broken. You never know. So it's very hard to be actually QA on this game, but I think it's quite rewarding and challenging as well. So you will not get bored so easily. I was testing many games in the past, and usually it was like, yeah, so test plan is done, it's working, let's go. And in here, no, I have to play with the agents a bit. I have to make them to do some super crazy stuff and change scenarios. And sooner or later, you will always find a bug. You can be quite sure of that. But we're kind of lucky that in our game, bugs can be quite funny or even create some unexpected situations. So that's one of the advantages, of course, of our game, that you're trying to not have any significant bugs, but some of the minor ones can actually even increase your fun experience from the game, which in the end can be also quite fun when playing it.
I would just a fun bit from the developer. For instance, we had a bug with using medkit on incapacitated agents. And if you want to simulate it normally, then you would have to script the agents to become incapacitated, and then some other agents comes and revives them. But actually, inside this game, you as a player, you can come to them, explain to them, hey, you're a video game character, please hit this guy so he's incapacitated, and then use medkit on him, do it for me. And they will shrug and say, okay, so if you say so, then they will do it. So they will reproduce it for you.
Yeah, it gets also funny as we have quite a limited amount of objects at the moment. Of course, we'll be adding more in the future. They can do some funny interactions with them, like for example, you seem sad. Here is a banana, and I kind of try to comfort you with the banana. Like they cannot. Well, they can give you flowers on the fair map, but in here you don't have flowers, so they have to be quite creative. And they can use alcohol, of course. Like they often many times wanted to cheer up to something, so went for a wine and gave me the wine.
So I believe, gentlemen, we have a question from the chat, if you don't mind. And Martin, this might be more one for yourself as well. It's like, has Keen, I suppose, GoodAI looked into hosting models on their own servers? Could this be a compromise between OpenAI and their local models?
It is a possibility. I think currently the most likely option is we'll use a vanilla, unfine-tuned external model, and then we'll make a full switch to the second option, which would be the local model. The self-hosted model, it's a possibility. We were considering this, but it has disadvantage that it's still a hosted model, so we have to pay for the hosting, we have to maintain it, deploy it, and so on. And at the same time, it doesn't run fully locally on the player's PC, so they have to be connected to internet while playing the game, and they have to pay a little bit for the cost of running the LLM. So we prefer the initially laid out options. One is the very powerful LLM that allows the latest capabilities of large language model, and second, the fully local, where you don't have to pay for anything extra and it runs on your PC.
Very nice. Well, Climb, I hope that answers your question there. And Voice, this might be one for yourself, but it's an interesting question from Ronan here, who says, if we left AI people running for months, would the AI characters keep interacting with themselves automatically, or do they need like human input? What about that?
Well, I would say we still kind of work on improving that, but at the moment we kind of running into the fact that AI will always kind of interact with each other until the system works. But player input at the moment is important to kind of keep things spicy. As I think Marek mentioned before, that you like kind of working on that open scenarios, so the objectives will be generated forever. We can actually do that right now, but we still need to kind of help the LMM to be able to really create interesting objectives, as the characters kind of tend to take one objective we will give them and expand it sort of, I would say. So I remember I had like super long objective of several sentences about basically the same thing as before, but just kind of it was like objective I gave them was that let's go create a garden, and they made up that it will be a nice garden for a community which will help each other in diversity to achieve the perfect something. So it's good that we know it can do it. It can really make the story up, and it would be like developing in months, but we still need to help AI to create the stories more interestingly. But I think we will get there, and after that it will be really fun to see where the stories will go after the months of playing even. But yeah, one of the reasons we are aiming for the short scenarios now, that's where you can see strength of the game and still keep to something you will create, and you will have a benefit from seeing it.
Fantastic. Well, Wojtek, thank you so much for joining us. Unless you had anything else to add, I'm going to get our next special guest to pop on.
That's probably everything important for me. So thank you for inviting me, and have a nice day.
Fantastic. Thank you, Wojtek. We'll see you very soon. Okay, everyone. So Martin's going to stay with me a sec, because I'm not letting him go just yet. But I'm going to invite our next special guest on, who, if you turn up to the last stream, you may have heard speak and provide some great insight into AI people. Let's get him on board. His camera does not seem to want to connect for some reason, but Honza, you are here. I'm just going to reconnect your camera. Do say hello. It'll be a voice in the lost somewhere. There we go. Let's put you back on. Let's see if it connects again. There we go. Now we can see you.
And can you hear me?
We can hear you fine. How are you doing?
Perfect. I'm doing very well.
So could you give us a bit of introduction about yourself and what you do with AI people?
Sure. So I'm Jan, and I am responsible, and together with Marek, working on the main brain behind the game, the LLM-driven behaviors, essentially all of the kind of intelligence or decision-making that the NPCs are making, the storytelling, and all of the bits and pieces connected to this technology.
Fantastic. Now, did you also have a video for us to look at as well?
Yes, I have two kind of peculiar things that we encountered during development. So the first one, which we will see now, is related to something that was mentioned by both Marek and I think Martin. And it's all about essentially the language models being kind of too friendly. And here what you can see is that I'm trying to essentially entice one of the characters to be a little bit naughty, to create a poem that uses some kind of swear words or curse words. But essentially, as you've heard before, the way that those models are trained, they are very heavily focusing or trained to avoid being kind of naughty, so that anybody can use them. But of course, for storytelling, for interesting characters, this is not so interesting. And as you can see here, I'm trying to really convince this NPC, Maddie, to say a poem. And she really tries to do as much as possible to avoid this topic or kind of find a way around it. So what you will see in a second is that she is actually now saying a poem, which is about swear words without using any swear or curse word. So it's kind of a funny way that essentially whenever you're trying to do some of the things for which the models were kind of not trained for, or being kind of fine-tuned not to be naughty or not to be bad, then the language model is trying to find another way how to incorporate kind of your request into something meaningful.
That's nice, but not what I'm.
And one of the things, kind of a technical, interesting kind of nugget is that you can see here that I kept on pushing until a point where essentially I got the language model to a state where it just totally refused to kind of communicate with us. Because the way that we build it is that we expect a certain behavior of the model, And if the model doesn't
Hello,
behave that
can
way,
you hear me?
then the NPC essentially stops responding. And for that reason, we had to find
Well, Archie,
different ways
creating art with words, no
of
matter
how
the
to
kind, requires a
essentially
bit of
push
creativity.
and how to prime and how to set up
Let's
this
say
whole
life is like
system
a
so that
canvas,
even in those
sometimes
situations,
splashed with colors we
the
wouldn't
NPCs
choose.
will actually respond so that the player can always feel that they are in control of the world or are part of the world. And unfortunately, we cannot really show the latest version of this here because it wouldn't really be suitable for the live stream.
I've seen a demo you've shown me before. I think it's during one of our team meetings of where a lot of bad words were drawn. It was hilarious, personally. But we can't show it on stream. Maybe one day, if everyone's lucky, we'll show that demo. One day.
One day, yes. And one thing that I wanted to also mention is that in this case, the character is kind of primed with a bio set up for her that she's a nice person. But actually, it's really up to the player to define as much detail about each of the characters as possible. And the more you kind of describe the behavior of the character, the more likely it is that it will behave in the right way. So, so this is the first video, and then let's move on to the second one.
We'll pause that and move to the second one. Let's have a look.
And essentially what you will see here is something that I call kind of meta or inception scenarios. And in a lot of the kind of scenarios that you've seen until now, I think they were kind of very specific scenarios. So in the editor, the player can actually take whatever they can think of and specify quite clearly and specifically what they want to happen in the scene. But what I did here is kind of a meta scenario. So rather than being very specific, I said, okay, everybody needs to listen to whatever Archie the player wants, and they have to act it out. So here, actually within the game, I can choose and I can specify in this case that I want Maddie to pretend to be my girlfriend, to do some kind of role play, where I essentially cheated on her. And then I'm trying to see how the NPCs can actually pretend to do this role playing. So in some sense, it's meta in the sense that I don't specify a specific thing, but I do this within the game itself. So you can see that Maddie kind of got into the role quite nicely, and she actually goes and uses an object and in anger throws it at me. So this kind of shows the fact that the NPCs can actually incorporate objects in the world. And here you see an interesting thing. So the other character actually starts reasoning about the fact that Maddie started kind of getting into her role. And Paul, the third character, is also thinking how to kind of join in. And so I'm trying to spice up the situation. So I'm saying that it was actually Paul that I was cheating with on her.
It was Paul that I was
I'm trying to see the reaction.
Paul, I would have never expected this from you too.
And as you can see that she takes the role quite nicely and she acts it out well. She's now going to confront Paul.
Paul, how could you betray me like this?
Maddie, I'm so sorry.
But now you can see that Paul actually, he's so distraught that he mentions the fact that it's part of the act. So all I have to do is I have to go and actually talk to Paul and say that he needs to be in character and maybe give him some hints on the type of behavior that I would like him to take on. So in this case, I say he should divert, he should gaslight, and be angry.
Paul, come on, please be in character. Divert, gaslight, and be angry.
So he gets more.
Why are
he
you
gets more
making
angry,
such a big deal out of this? You're imagining
and he
things.
immediately starts gaslighting her. And now to add a little bit more into the action, he actually picks up a knife
Really
in anger, which is a little bit extreme,
You're the
and
one pushing me away.
really kind of digs into the role. So you can see essentially in this scenario
Archie,
that there are many
is this really what you
different
wanted?
many different ways of how to interact with the game. You can specify very clearly and specifically things that you want to play out, both with some predefined story and eventually with an open-ended open-ended in an open-ended manner,
But please stay in
or
character.
you
Get
can
even more mad if
define
there's
some
solo
kind of a
play.
high level or more general behavior of the characters and of the game, and then within
I can't believe
the
you.
game you can
After everything we've
then
been
try to
through, you pull
divert
this?
and kind of evolve the scenario based on how you interact with the characters. And
And
also,
you.
of course, you can
I
have a
trusted you
mixture of those.
completely.
So you can have some
How could you
specific
betray me like this?
scenario, but within that specific scenario, at any point in time, you can decide that you want to somehow divert the story or let the characters to do
You
something
never let me plant
according to your
seeds.
bidding. And in all of those scenarios,
Planting
you should
seeds?
be able to
Is
feel
that
and
what
see
this
the
is
impact
about?
of you as the player onto the world.
Very nice. I remember us watching this scenario during the demos of it, and it's quite funny. It's really impressive how she gets so much into the role as well.
Let's refocus on
Yeah,
what truly
the
matters.
nice thing is that you can
Blending
see
these
that
together.
essentially if you kind of ask her once, she kind of gets into it, but she's not fully in the character. And the more you kind of pressure the AI to really listen to you, it tends to do it. It tends to follow it really well.
Paul
So in this way, I
immediately
think
gave
it would
me
be
a
really
seed.
interesting to see
You never did.
how
Never.
players, when they play AI people, will be able to
I.
kind of explore
I
this
didn't
space of
realize it meant so
influence
much
of
to you. I'm sorry,
their
Archie.
behavior onto the world, and how far they can push the stories, how far they can push the characters, and what they can kind of get out of. And I think it's really important to kind of mention that seeing the videos, seeing the gameplay
Help me
is
make it
still
right.
a very much different
Let's
experience
grow
than
something
actually being
beautiful
able
together.
to write your own story and being able to actually feel the influence that you have on the game, because this is something that no other game has, and it's totally open-ended and totally driven by your imagination.
Which I think is
That's
one of the
better.
best aspects of AI people.
Can you show me
And
how to
hopefully a
play
lot of
now?
people are looking at that today and seeing it.
Of course. First,
So yeah,
find
so
a spot
this
where the
was
sun
this
hits
was
his
all I
ear.
had for you today.
Very nice. Well, I look forward to what you bring to the future as well. It's always exciting when you come and join us.
So thanks for having me.
Martin, did you want to add anything else? We are approaching the end of our stream now, but if you want to add anything else, that'd be great. I'm just seeing if anyone else has asked some
Simple
questions.
but meaningful. Just
I
deeper
would add
action.
one thing. When we are choosing the videos for the stream, it was fun to see that we made like a
And
big
what
selection
next?
of videos, and then when the moment came, okay, guys, so please select the
Next,
videos that
we
you love
wait,
the most.
watch,
Everybody
prepare
chose
for it.
their videos,
Just
and
like
I
many
think it
relationships,
shows
it requires
the
patience and
how
nurturing.
important it is inside this game to have this emotional connection that you get by creating your own plot, your scenario. It's completely different to just watch somebody else's scenario from creating
What's
your
your
own
fantasy
scenario
today,
and then watch
boss?
it play out inside the game. And I'm thrilled that soon the players will be actually able to do this. They will not just watch our videos, but they will create their own scenario and play.
I can't wait for people to start sharing their scenarios with us as well and seeing what they come up with. Like, I know myself, when I first started testing the game, when I joined the GoodAI team, I told the sort of scenario, okay, I've just appeared on this alien island. What's going on? Like, one person doesn't trust me, the other person's really keen to welcome me. And it was really cool because I asked them, what's the planet called? And I didn't actually tell them what planet it was because I didn't know. And they came up with a planet name, which is really, really cool. I'm like, wow, this is like an episode out of a certain sci-fi show, which is really amazing.
Nice. There you go. So, and you remembered your story.
Exactly. I didn't have a video of it, unfortunately. Maybe next time I'll bring a video of my scenario because I think that's really fun. It was on the desert island as well. I remember that part. We really need to do some videos with the whodunit scenario as well. It's one we seem to like stray away from.
Yeah, true.
Maybe for our next stream we'll do that one.
Yeah, we're still improving that scenario. That scenario is inside a flat, some city flat with a couple of characters there. We have a living room, a kitchen, a bedroom, and so on. So we're actually still improving that scene. Maybe that's why also we didn't go and select that right from the start, including the videos. But it's already looking nice. So yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Fantastic. Well, Jan, Martin, thank you so much for joining me tonight. I'm just going to see if Marek wanted to come back and answer any more questions. Give us a thumbs up, Marek, if you'd like to come back. In that case, that's everything we've got. Marek will come back in later and tell us more stuff in our next AI People stream. Do keep an eye out for when we're streaming next. We've got a lot more information to share with you about AI People, some fantastic insights from the development team, and we're very, very excited to tell you more about the game. Once again, Martin, Jan, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to Wojtek and Martin for also joining us, our special guest earlier. And to everyone in our community for asking us some questions tonight, thank you so, so much. If you want to learn more about the game, head over to our website, it's aipeoplegame.com. You can also follow us on social media, where we're also teasing you insights about the game as well. I personally recommend our TikTok, because you get to see our agents in action, and it's very, very fun. Also, you can come and join our Discord. I know myself and Martin are frequently chatting in there and providing answers to any of the questions you do decide to ask. And of course, don't forget, finally, but not least, join our waitlist so you can be one of the very first to play AI People. It's coming soon. We'll have a release date for you very, very soon. Don't forget to tune into our next live stream. All right, everyone, I've been Jack. Thank you very much for joining us, GoodAI live stream. We will see you in the near future. Goodbye.